I am doing great. Setting up for Christmas. It's what my family celebrates. I'm
Mhm.
not the biggest into it because of the whole commercialization and having to hear the same few songs on repeat for so long, but I do really like getting with the family and just having a nice festive feast.
Yeah, true. Understood. Dude, I used to I wouldn't say like I'm like a huge Christmas person or anything like that. Like any holiday, like I'm not like very festive like with anything. Like I just like that's cool, whatever. I'm kind of with you. It's like fun to hang out with family and stuff and friends, but like the music aspect of it, like I used to really hate that stuff. It's like such a drag. I'm like, God, I don't want to hear the song again and all that. But like now, like it doesn't bother me at all. And some of them I actually kind of look forward to. And I mean, like they're like weird ones, like the Mariah Carey stuff and everything. I'm like, hell yeah, when that stuff comes on. And actually, like one of my bands, like we're doing a show next weekend, and like half of the set is all Christmas songs. But
Ooh,
um,
right on.
yeah, I'm kind of into it now. I don't know. It's like the older I get, like I'm like, this is kind of fun. And like, I think something that happened to me too, like when I was, like way younger, you would hear like the adults talk and stuff. And they're like, it's more fun just to like, pick out presents for people and like buy people gifts and stuff like that. And I didn't really get that because, it was like obviously a lot more fun getting stuff that you wanted and everything. But now like I love going out and like, finding gifts for people that I care about and stuff like that. It's like so much fun, but
It
whatever.
is a real treat too when you just come across the perfect gift for somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, that or like I don't know about you. I mean, we both like, collect comics, so like yeah, I assume you're like a little bit like me in that regard, but like I kind of love like shopping and looking for stuff. Like I didn't realize I was such a consumer, but like it's not even about, I mean, trust me, it hurts to like pay for all of it, but like, it's kind of fun just like out like looking through things, like digging through stuff and like finding things and
Yeah,
stuff like that. I
it's
always
fun to see what's new on the shelf.
yeah, I'm always into that kind of thing. It's fun, but awesome. Well, yeah. Anyways, I skipped the intro, so welcome to the all new, all different number one comics podcast. Uh, I'm Dan. That's Benny. We are doing a bonus episode this week. It's been a few weeks since we've had a bonus episode, so uh, we thought, why the hell not do an amazing bonus episode right now? It's holiday season. It's not quite winter, but it's like very close. I'm sure it's much more wintry where you are than where I am right now, but
Oh
we're
yeah, the ground's been white for a couple of weeks now.
really I would like to say we're on the cusp, but like winter for us is like 74 degrees, so it's 80 today, but
Yeah, but before this, I was actually up at one of my parents chopping firewood for the winter.
you're like, all right, we got to get this done. Got to make sure you guys are stocked up.
Pretty much, yeah, yeah.
Get cold,
But yeah, since
man.
it was since we're getting into the holidays
Mhm.
and you let me choose, I decided to go with a winter special this time.
Yeah, super fun. The Hellboy Winter Special, the Yule Cat. And I was looking at these in the Comic Geeks app, and when I first type in Hellboy Winter Special, I guess they had been doing like Hellboy Winter Specials consistently for like a few years, and then in 2020 it dropped off, and now this one is like the return to it. This is like the first one with like a whatever that word is, not subtitle, but like it has like another name. They're usually just Hellboy Winter Special, but this is Hellboy Winter Special, the Yule Cat. So I think it seems like this one's a lot more focused than maybe the other ones were, like an individual story or whatever. But yeah, the Hellboy Winter Special, the Yule Cat, issue number one. This it's from Dark Horse Comics. It just came out this past week. It is written and illustrated by Matthew Smith, who Matthew Smith has done a lot of cool things. He's like kind of like a fan favorite for Hellboy stuff. He really kind of writes and draws in that style, that just already exists there. And he's done other stuff too. Like he's done Lake of Fire and Folklords and Day of Judgment, some Sandman stuff. Like he's Nightcrawler, everything. Like he's done quite a few things. But
Yeah, I saw he even worked on the comic adaptation of Shaun of the Dead with some of the original creators, which was pretty neat.
did he really? I didn't realize that. I didn't see that in there. That's really cool. That's something I would love to pick up. I'm gonna have to go find a copy of that. I didn't even know that a comic book existed. So that's pretty cool. I'm always like a huge sucker for those like licensed comic books of like
Yeah,
TV
yeah.
shows or movies or video games or whatever. Like I'm always like, why do I buy all these things? But yeah, from the it's just a short synopsis here from Dark Horse. And Benny, I don't know about you, but there's no way in hell I would ever be able to pronounce the name of this town. So I'll just say in Iceland. But if you can, please chime in. But
Ooh, I do know this one actually. I
oh, thank
believe it's pronounced Reykjavik.
Reykjavik. Wow,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't even have come in the same universe. So thank you for that. So Hellboy travels to Reykjavik, where children are disappearing and a giant beast has been spotted. Could it be the infamous Yule cat of Icelandic lore? Fan favorite Hellboy artist Matt Smith writes and draws this chilling, wintry one shot. So that is the synopsis from them. I did write up like a little synopsis, like if you don't mind, like I'll try to stumble through it really quick. But
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, just to get us in there. But mine's Hellboy Winter Special. The Yule Cat opens with a group of birds holding a meeting on top of a statue in 1990 in Iceland as they discuss the return of the Yule Cat and the arrival of Hellboy. We see Hellboy as he meets an anthropology professor and is told about the strange disappearances along with the legend of the Yule Cat. Hellboy then goes looking for the giant cat and finds it. Just as he grabs hold of it, he's somehow transported to an isolated, snow-covered place with a demonic-looking woman who Hellboy recognizes as the cat. Her and her crew tie Hellboy down, and of course he breaks free. Hellboy then uses Thor's hammer, and the lady returns to cat form and tries to escape. The two fight, and somehow the cat disappears again. In the end, the birds return and discuss if Hellboy might have died with the Spear Maiden, or sorry, what would happen if he might have died with the Spear Maiden. Finally, we return to the BPRD headquarters where Kate gives Hellboy her notebook full of Hellboy interviews. So that's like, kind of what I wrote up, like of what's going on in here. But there was like a couple of things, and like, of course, we're going to talk about the book, but what were your like initial thoughts or impressions of this? Like, are you a big like Hellboy fan? Like, are you like seeped
Oh
in this
yeah,
world?
I am huge into Hellboy. I
Mhm.
got started with the Guillermo del Toro movies with Ron Perlman
Yeah.
playing him, and from then on, I just tried to find all that I could. And Conqueror Worm is one of my favorite comic arcs with Hellboy.
Yeah,
All
really
of the
good.
characters like Abe Stadium and
Mhm.
Elizabeth and Kate, who's in this, I
Yep.
just find really intriguing. And Mike Mignola, I probably butchered that last name, is actually my favorite comic artist. And I
Okay.
think that Matt Smith is near one-to-one to some of his styles.
Right? He's like nailing it. When I had I don't know if I had ever read a Hellboy book that Matt Smith had illustrated or written or anything like that off the top of my head, because I guess maybe I wasn't digging into it deep enough to realize. But I mean, I would have no idea if I didn't read the credits for this. I would just assume it's Mike Mignola. Like, no clue. It looks amazing. Looks just like his art. So really cool. And it reads like one of his stories too. So like on all fronts, it seems like it's one of his. So he's doing awesome work on this. Now I really like Hellboy stuff a lot. Uh, I never realized how big of a fan I am of it until I, read a book and I'm like, oh, that was so good. I really liked it a lot. And I'm like, why aren't I just reading these things every week? I bought a collection a while back. I want to say this was probably 2016, 2017. And it was a guy who was moving out of the country and he had like a pretty big collection. I want to say it was about 70 short boxes or so. There was a lot of the DC New 52 run in there. Like basically like 1 through like, I don't know, 18 or something of every single issue that was out from DC's New 52. And then there was everything Hellboy that I had ever seen in my life. Like every Hellboy tie-in, like every Hellboy book, like everything. So that I bought the collection really cheap, and they were all in great condition, and I just love looking through those. Sometimes they're so cool, the art's so amazing, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, the Hellboy is great. this is a lot of fun. This is a really, really fun story. It's just like, like a cool little one shot. I like it a lot. I wanted to talk to you about, did you have like a favorite moment in this? Was there anything that like, kind of stood out to you?
Ooh. Yes, there was a really funny moment that stood out to me when he's talking with the anthropologist, archaeologist,
Mhm.
one of those kind of types,
Yeah.
and he's just having a quiet sit down with some coffee, and
Mhm.
the doctor is going over a old story about the Yule cat who
Yeah.
will come eat you if you don't have new clothes for winter. And they say, now, it's just a story. Nobody believes in it now, of course. It takes a pause for a panel or two. He takes a sip of his drink and says, however, and Hellboy says, here we go, which is
Yep.
perfectly describes, I think, Hellboy's character of he does his job, but he's a little bit sick of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I'm with you. That was a great moment. Like I definitely laughed. Right when that happened, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, and it captured the voice so well, like in that moment there. I had a favorite moment too, and mine was like right before that, like just right before that, because whenever the anthropology professor is meeting up with Hellboy, and the anthropology professor has got his like daughters with him. He's got some kids with him, and he's kind of like, we're gonna go drop. I'm gonna go drop my kids off with their mom, and then we'll go sit down and talk and everything. And as the girls are saying goodbye, one of them says, "Goodbye, Mr. Hell." And I lost it, man. I was like, I love that. I don't know if that ever comes up in other Hellboy stories or not. Like, I don't know if this is the first time this happened, but I really loved that. I thought it was really cute and a lot of fun. Like, what would like a really polite, like, little child who was hanging out with Hellboy call him, Mr.
It's
Hell.
really funny seeing how well Hellboy just kind of integrates with the general populace. Like,
Yeah.
there's before that scene, just a panel of him walking with the kids downtown, and
Mhm.
nobody is staring or anything. And Hellboy is just a pretty accepted part of this magical world, which is really interesting.
And I love it when things like that happen because, there's two scenarios that could come up. Either somebody sticks out like a sore thumb because they're different, and that has to be acknowledged, or the complete vice versa of that. And I love that aspect of it. I love that, like you said, he just integrates perfectly into society around him. Like, no one's like, what is that guy, what's going on or anything. Just like, no, he's a dude, he's there doing his thing, it's fine. I like that a lot. Now, there was like a couple of moments of this book that were, I did not have a problem with it all. I'm fine with the way it was written. It was written really well, actually. I like the way this was written. I think that it was, maybe I felt like I got lost, or I didn't understand something when Hellboy was first chasing after the cat and kind of like grabbed its tail or whatever, and then all of a sudden, like, snap, blink of an eye, he's transported to this place, and he goes, "Where am I? The moon?" That was, I mean, I guess we just have to assume, that this Yule cat is like very magical and transported him to another place. Uh, Now that's probably like pretty apparent to most readers. For me, I always read comic books twice, especially if I'm going to talk about them, because I miss things like left and right. Like, I always miss stuff. So I was hung up on that for a second. I was like, how did he get here? I mean, it's cool that he's acknowledging it, but what is this? And then I thought, okay, well, it's folklore or whatever. Like, they're probably like, is a, obviously like some kind of magical element to this. There's not really, giant cats walking around Iceland. I don't think. I haven't been there, but I don't know. I
There
don't know
could
if you
be.
have, but yeah, definitely. I mean, it could be anything for all I know. I'd have no clue whatsoever. But, um, have you ever been to Iceland, Benny?
No,
Oh, okay.
but something I found very interesting is when I was purchasing this from my local comic shop. Shout out to
Mhm.
the Comic Hunter. The person behind the register, they were interested, and I showed them the first page. They had actually been to the building in the full page spread on number one, the kind of church area with the statue out front,
Yeah, with the
and they
statue out
were
front.
able
Oh,
to
wow.
recognize it, which was very interesting. They got to reminisce about their trip a bit as we talked about Hellboy.
That's so cool. Yeah. What a cool thing. And what a cool thing that they're bringing, actual places and stuff from Iceland into this book and everything. That's really awesome. I like that a lot. I too have never been to Iceland or anywhere cool for that matter, but uh, there's certain things about this book, like you were saying, like the buildings, the places and everything here in Iceland, they kind of transport you there. I really like. I can't think off the top of my head, but there's been quite a few times where I've opened a Hellboy book and like birds seem to be in the book, like not a focus, but like, background characters or whatever. So I don't know how often that happens or if it's like all the time or just like a little thing that's sprinkled throughout the universe or whatever. But I love this little secret bird meeting and where they were, having this meeting on top of the statue and they're like, it's okay. Nobody out here speaks bird or whatever. We don't have to worry about it. We can talk out in the open and everything. I thought that was really cool. There's just, I don't know how else to describe it. There's such like cool things happening in this book. And then they're bringing in folklore into it too, which I really love. Now, one of the other things that I noticed, I don't know if you did any searching or not. I just did like a quick Google search before, writing my synopsis. And this is a a thing. A real folklore tale that's told, in Iceland. The Yule cat is like a real thing that they tell people about, or like a thing that they tell people a story, and this is what it is. It's if you don't buy new clothes before Christmas and have new clothes on Christmas Day, then the cat will come eat you, and then in some separate stories, the cat will just come eat your food. But yeah, the cat is like a reason that you go out and make sure you have new clothes for Christmas. Had no idea. I'd never heard anything like this in my life. And when I was first reading the book, I was like, okay, they're just making up, like tales or whatever for this comic here. But apparently not so much. This is a real discussion out there in Iceland. And I don't know. I fell down like a Wikipedia rabbit hole for a second. But, to skip all that, it's not even that old of a folk tale. It's like, the late 1800s or something is where it first came about. So I thought that was a lot of fun. Just really cool stuff here. Is there any like weird? We don't have any that I know of. Do you guys have any like weird like folklore around like where you live, like for holidays or anything like that you can think of? Anything that might be different from this or what's going on here?
None that I can really think of. None that involve creatures. There is a
Yeah.
fun tradition my family does where we hang a pickle on the Christmas tree, and if one of the kids finds it on Christmas Day, they get an extra small present or a snack or something like that.
Oh
I
wow.
don't think it's a Canadian tradition. It might be German or something, but my family always does it. But
It's
going
fun.
back to the folklore, that's one of my favorite things about Hellboy comics, where they go on international adventures and
Yes.
the things that he fights are rooted in real world history, which is just very interesting to me. This book follows the classic Hellboy archetype where he strolls into town because the BPRD sent him there to investigate, and he doesn't have to do much investigating because the monster typically comes to him. And
Yeah.
there's a small little fight with a couple great action shots, and he stumbles away from the encounter, usually with a couple of spectators commenting on it. This time, the spectators were the birds, and usually it's other demons who want to twist Hellboy for their own motivations. But I really liked the Norse take on this book with the mythology involving Thor's hammer infused with his hand and the
Mhm.
Jotun ice giants and the whole Yule cat, whose design I loved. Matt Smith really pins down the grotesque expressions and ferocity of monsters that are fighting.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Whenever we first get that Yule cat, it's a very, it's just a big cat. Like it's a very real looking cat, beautifully drawn and everything. But as the battles start to take place and everything, and it's the Yule cat versus Hellboy, yeah, you see some expression there. You see some a lot of movement and everything in the artwork and on those pages. So yeah, I'm with you. It looks wonderful. That was kind of the next thing that like I wanted to talk about a little bit. Of course, up front we talked about how this looks like Mike Mignola's artwork already, but what are your thoughts on the art in this book aside from that? You know, do you have anything to critique? Do you have anything like additional you want to say about it, or anything that like really
I
stood out to you?
like I mentioned, this Matt Smith is great at making it look like Mike Mignola's art. I actually had to double check that it wasn't Mike Mignola.
Yeah, me too.
One standout bit is during the fight scenes, there are these small square panels inserted with just tiny hits or
Uh-huh. Oh yeah,
pieces of action
buds
with
and
Hellboy getting clawed, hitting his
Mhm.
head, the cat crying out, and then it all culminates with the them tumbling off of the cliff and the cat disappearing or disperserating. It just kind of fades away.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Whatever happened with the cat there. And I like that. I think that it's fun. Again, like I said earlier, it's like it's magical. We don't need much of an explanation. Now, I one of the things that I wanted to point out in the last episode that Bob and I did, we did the Batman Santa Claus. What is that? Whatever, Silent Night, or I think it was Silent Night. I don't know. Anyways, Batman Santa Claus special that just released. And that was a really good book, but it had like a lot of obviously Santa was involved. Obviously, it's Gotham and everything, so it was snowing. It was winter time, and the way the snow was shown on the page and everything, and in panels and through the artwork and everything was just beautiful. So we commented a lot on that. I feel the same way about this. I think that snow is like a little bit hard. Like that's a little hard with it's I guess hard isn't the right word. It would be very easy to get that wrong, to make all the
Yeah.
snow the same size to let it overtake or be underutilized or whatever. But I think that he does like a really wonderful job with the snow here as well. I really like it. I think that it adds a lot whenever we get to that uh, I don't know, empty, barren wasteland or wherever they are, with the snow and everything. It looks really, really good. I feel cold looking at it, so I don't know if
Yeah,
it's
I was reading an interview with Matt Smith, and he said that he wanted to make the snow a bit of a priority with this
yes,
and give you the feeling of being in Iceland. And I already kind of feel like that sometimes with just looking outside, but
yeah,
reading this, I love the depiction of the cold tundra.
yeah. It looks great. Yeah, that's definitely what I was going to ask you. I was like, I need. Look, it's always tropical and sunny here, so I don't have to deal with this. But yeah, I was wondering if it gave you any feelings of shit. Well, it's snowing out my window right now too. But yeah,
I
it
think
looks
it
great.
shows greatly how messy it can kind of be and
Yeah.
obscuring.
hmm Yeah, and I mean it's one of those things. Of course, I don't have experience with it, so I think it snowed one time here. It was like some weird fluke. It was like I think I was like 2 years old or something, and it just kind of like mixed in with the dirt. But so I've got no real experience with the snow or anything. But yeah, it seems like it just it kind of takes over. It comes and then you're covered in it and it's everywhere, and at least that's how it's depicted in movies. So
Yeah, it's very silencing and blanketing.
Mhm.
It just gets everywhere and covers everything.
Yeah, I imagine cleaning that up once you come in from a snowstorm or whatever must be a lot of fun. But yeah, now getting back to the artwork in this, I just want to reference something as we get to like the end of Hellboy and the Yule Cats battle. There's some scenes like you were saying where they fall like kind of off the edge of the cliff and everything. Now those panels, I will show them. I'm not great at being able to show this on camera with the on the podcast here, but yeah, those panels at the top are just insane. Like they look so wonderful. I'm just really really impressed with the artwork here. Really impressed with the storytelling. I think that this was just like I'm really glad you suggested this book. It was a knockout, and I do have like a small short story about it. I picked up my books. I think when you and I initially talked, we weren't sure what book we would cover. So I think you hadn't hit the comic book shop just yet, and I already had. So I gave
Yeah.
you a list of the number ones that I picked up, which wasn't a lot this week. And this book was not on there, and luckily you suggested it. I happened to. I was like, I need to go to my shop anyways because my local comic book shop owner does like the month of December does like a different sale every day. announces like a special sale. So he was doing a manga sale yesterday. My niece happens to be obsessed with all things anime and manga and all of that. So I was like, great, 60% off all manga. So I will go there,
Ooh.
pick her out a few. Yeah, really good deals. Pick her out a few, and I'll go pick up this book. So I walk in the door and he goes, "Hey, what are you? I just saw you, 2 days ago. What are you doing here?" And I told him, I was like, "Well, I need to pick up the winter special of Hellboy. Doing it on the bonus episode for the podcast." And he went, "Man, everybody wanted that book. It sold out instantly." And I said, "Ah, shit, you don't have any, do you?" And he said, "Got one." And he went and pulled it out from some magical place or whatever and gave it to me, which, shout out to him. He's always great about that. Always really takes care of his customers and everything. But yeah, apparently this book is like hot. This is selling out everywhere this week. I didn't realize, but it's a big book this week. Everybody wants a copy of it. So really cool. I'm really glad that I got a chance to read it. Glad that you suggested it. And I had a lot of fun with it. So happy about that.
And there's two different covers going around as well.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is even done by Mike Mignola. I think I actually got that one with my copy here.
Yeah.
Its composition is very classic to his style.
And this is the A cover, I think.
Yeah, I want to get my hands on that one as well, just to kind of have them both. And this comic actually felt a bit cheaper than others on the shelves at the moment too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, look, you get a one shot, and the cover price is $3.99. I mean, that barely ever happens. Usually, one shots, they rise in price for whatever reason. Or sorry, the cover price is usually a little bit higher for whatever reason, I guess, because maybe they know they're not going to absorb that limited series run or whatever. You're not going to be getting like $3.99 each week or something, so they jack them up to $4.99, $5.99, $6.99. No, $3.99 cover price, and you're getting a really outstanding book, a really outstanding story, some amazing artwork. Yeah, this is definitely worth $3.99. And if you're like me or Benny and you have a pull at your local shop, that's $3.99 plus a discount. So yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with that at all. Really, really worth it. The last thing I want to talk about in the book, actually, because man, I forget about this with Dark Horse books a lot of times, but we're sitting here like towards the end of the book. We got a good, I don't know, 6 or 8 pages left. And I'm thinking, okay, what's this going to end on? Then I flip to that final page and then it says the end. And I forget that Dark Horse always, they put ads in their book, but they put them at the very back, which I do appreciate. It's, reading Marvel or DC, sometimes it can be a bit jarring. You're right in the middle of some action or whatever, and then you get like a rando page, for something else, and it can be like a little bit jarring. So I'm glad Dark Horse doesn't do that. They put it all at the back end, but there are some ads there at the back end that take up a little bit of space just for everyone to know. But
I think they're all comic ads as well.
Yes, they're all Dark Horse ads too. So it's all in house. And some really good ads for some really good books in there too.
Like Canary, which we covered the other week.
Yeah, exactly. A really cool book. I love that. But one of the last things that happens before Hellboy and Kate get together there at the end is the end of this battle. And like you said, the birds are kind of discussing everything that's going on. And then we get, one of the birds turns into this spear maiden and talks about if Hellboy had fallen here in this place. I wasn't exactly sure what was going on here. I want to say, I hope that something about this comes up somewhere, some other time or whatever. I want to know more about what's going on here. I thought that it was really cool. It was a really cool kind of thing, and it was almost like cliffhanger-y.
Yeah, I do believe that this might be another link in a large overarching story. It stands alone great as a winter special, but it does have references to other books like Bones of Giants, where I believe that's where Hellboy gets a hold of Mjolnir and it kind of combines with his arm. I haven't read that one yet, but this book definitely makes me want to go check it out.
Exactly.
And this happens a lot in Hellboy, where something is just kind of seeded and planted in another story that helps connect and lead into another piece, which I personally really enjoy. Although I can definitely see somebody being turned off just because they want a pure standalone thing.
Yeah, and for me at least, not turned off at all. It makes me, I'm more intrigued, now, just like you. I want to go seek out what's happening, what happened before, what's going to happen next. This is really, really interesting storytelling. It's really compelling. Did such a wonderful job. And like I said, you cannot go wrong with this artwork. It's really, really good. So, I mean, we can't ask the eternal podcast question and say, will you continue on with issue number 2? Because this is a one shot. But I would say, definitely, if you can, go out and pick this book up. If you can't, I guess, buy it digitally, read it that way, whatever. But anything, again, anything I've read in the Hellboy universe is phenomenal. Has been really, really good storytelling. You're going to get amazing artwork. So I definitely, absolutely suggest this to everybody. And Benny, I will let you go on your suggestion there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, Hellboy is probably my favorite comic out there, and this did not disappoint one bit. If you're looking for something, you can check out some of the old winter specials. You mentioned they'd been out of production for a few years, but there is a bit of a backlog. I think one of them involves him trucking through the snow with a child who turns out to be a monster that not going to spoil what happens, but it's very intriguing and enticing story. Highly recommend you go check out some of the holiday specials for Hellboy. Sometimes they're fun too. There's a very short one called Pancakes where it's only a page or two, and it's him as a kid eating a couple of pancakes, and it cuts down to hell with their reaction, saying, "Oh no, everything is lost. He's discovered pancakes."
Yeah, you're always going to have fun with Hellboy. At least there's that, So lots and lots of fun. Well, I think that about wraps us up. But definitely a strong recommend from Benny and I both. Go out and check this out, guys. If you've still got a copy at your local shop, make sure sell that thing out. Let's see if I don't know if they do second prints of one shots, but I'd love to see a second printing here. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, definitely worth it. $3.99. Really worth it. Story was great. Benny and I both suggest it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Of course, as always, make sure you use the hashtag #AllNewAllDifferentNation to be entered on weekly giveaway for a free comic book. And Benny, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. And thank you so much for suggesting this book. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm really excited that you suggested it so I could go out and get a copy and read it. So
yes, as always, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure. Great to talk and just kind of nerd out for a little while.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, man. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and don't get caught in any snow and get swept out for giant cats.
Yeah, watch out for the Yule cat. Take care. Get new clothes.
Yes, that's that part. All right, man. Talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.